y'all feel about our country right now?
I don't like who's running the house.
Bush did get elected by a few little people. He got elected by people that make up our nation. And the radical people on the East Coast and the radical people on the West Coast, to Midwesterners, they're radical. But he didn't get elected by nobody. All I know is that I don't know who I would have put in his place during 9/11.
It just happened, you know, when they were bombing this building. I said, isn't there ever any good news on, or good shows? And then they said it was really happening, and I'm like, going, this can't be for real. It was just like what their video games and crap that they play. Yeah. It was so unreal.
There was a video game before that happened.
Oh, there was? Well, I see, I'm really not into all that stuff, but it's just I
think it was, I don't know whether it was Japanese or Korean. There was a video game. I did see that.
But I just couldn't believe, I was like, can't they show anything better than this on TV? And then they said the second plane had just hit, and I went, this is live news coverage. My kids all had to get in the wood and the kerosene, and everything had to all be done. They got off the school bus at 10 after 4, and this all had to be done by 5 because it got dark. And my husband was working for the state of Washington, and he had to live down closer to his job in a camp trailer because there was no houses for rent. And we lived on our property in this little cabin that we had that had no running water, but we got water that dripped off the eaves. The kids did dig a septic tank, so we had indoor plumbing. We just used the bucket to flush the toilet instead of, you know, and then I'd fill up one of those big garbage cans of water and heat it on the stove, you know. I did have a propane cook stove, but we did all kinds of canning. My kids had to learn how to pick the stuff and help me get it ready, you know, and can the stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to squeeze your dining car. Then it's your first call for lunch service in the dining car.
There was a large complex, I guess I would call it, a housing thing that went from 35th Street to 55th Street. And it was called Robert Taylor Homes. And it was like public housing. But the housing people, you had to pay according to your income. So some people were paying more than people that were not living in public housing. So what happened was they came up with this, oh, the crime is so great and we can't deal with the crime. You can put a man on the moon and you can't deal with crime, you know, in a public housing facility. Here's what happened. They tore every building down but 2. They got 2 high-rise buildings left. And so I said, you know, it's funny how some people just think you just outright stupid because of who you are.
Right.
I said, don't you know that we have sense enough to know that was your way when you start yelling crime, and that with all the police that we have on the street in Chicago, you can't stop the crime. You gotta tear the buildings down. Who you think you're talking to? So now that the condos are going up, then you don't see any of us working. Who's going to replace the people that were living there? What are your plans? But it's pathetic. I lie to you not. It is unbelievable. You know that? And then you say, you might ask the contractor, why don't you have any African Americans working with
Or
your
people
company?
from your neighborhood.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
are working in our neighborhood.
Right, right.
Why don't you have, they'll say, they didn't want to work. I started to work when I was 8 years old in the fields. I said, I feel like my parent, my foreparent, and myself helped to build some parts of this country. Who are you telling that we are lazy and we don't want to work? That's all we ever done. But there's no work now. If you could just go through where I'm talking about one day and look and see what is going on.
I attend University of Miami, so I'm a senior there, and I was involved with Vote or Die with Puff Daddy.
Vote or die?
Yeah, with
Wow.
Puff Daddy and a lot of celebrities came from the East Coast. We thought we was going to play a big impact on this election, but it seemed like that we didn't. We had to vote as college students, all of us, because we want our voice to be heard. We want to know that as we being Americans, we want to put the right president in office, and we know Bush is not the right president at all. He started a illegal war. He should have went out to Bin Laden and started going out to Saddam Hussein. He should have paid more attention on North Korea, because I consider them more of a threat, considering they saying they have nuclear warheads. And it was a year ago, 2 years ago, the president was saying they was going to put a lot of restrictions on North Korea because they was making a lot of threats, saying that they had the nuclear warhead, and if not, they was going to bomb South Korea and all this. And now that we're not focusing on them, we're focusing on Iraq.